Come out of hiding, you're safe here with me. There's no need to cover what I already see. You've got your reasons, but I hold your peace. You've been on lockdown and I hold the key. 'Cause I loved you before you knew it was love, and I saw it all. Still I chose the cross, and you were the one that I was thinking of when I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, my victory's yours. I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand out of distance anymore. You're not far from home, and I'll be your lighthouse when you're lost at sea. And I will illuminate everything. No need to be frightened by intimacy. No, just throw off your fear and come running to me. Oh, 'cause I loved you before you knew it was love, and I saw it all. Still I chose the cross, and you were the one that I was thinking of when I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, my victory's yours. I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand out of distance anymore. You're not far from home. You're not far from home now. Keep on coming. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. Baby, you're almost home now. Please don't quit now. You're almost home to me. Hey, baby, you're almost home now. Please don't quit now. You're almost home to me. Yes, you are. Now, baby, you're almost home now. Please don't quit now. You're almost home to me.
Hey, good morning. The struggle is real. The struggle is very real today. I think we've had all the issues we can. So I found out, our first crack at struggle was a struggle, which is awesome. I found out something. Apparently it's working now. So, hey guys, thanks for putting up with all the silliness as we learn about live. It's yeah, it's good, man. Hey, I hope you can hear me this morning because I don't want to have to say good morning 3 times like I did yesterday, but I'm certainly willing to, especially for you guys. The struggle is real, and you have to type it like that because that's our t-shirt. Another t-shirt idea, struggle is real. 2020. Oh, that's too soon. Hey guys. I had many thoughts and now I'm here and it's just good to see the live chat. It's good to see the space that we can. Happy Friday. Because that's what today is it not? I think I'm fairly smooth now too, right? Like I think one of you was on real early this morning and we were kind of doing that whole wavy wave thing right at the beginning and it was really, really choppy. Again, I don't know why. It just does. And then I unplug everything and I plug it all back in and then yay, it works again. Again, no idea. If you notice that I'm a little stuffier today, it's because there's this thing called springtime. And, it was fun yesterday. I did some choppy cutty stuff with like the grass and then the grass got back at me. So it's really good because literally I'm blinking through like what feels like sandpaper this morning. Wavy, choppy t-shirt. Oh goodness, you got to catch up. If you haven't heard about our t-shirt line, we were launching a new clothing line. It's gonna take over the world with sayings that are frustrating and wise, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Hey, I said it once before. Good morning, but I also want to say this too again, guys. Thanks for coming in here. Like it's so funny because I don't know, about 15 minutes to sit down. I think I've shared this with you before. I know I have, but it's always kind of fun because I come in about 15 minutes before, start getting the live ready, start getting stuff ready, see all the 18 million technical issues. Usually one escapes me, and then by the time we get to the actual show, there's usually like a few of you almost competing to be first in the live chat channel, which I think is cool because it's awesome. Hey, we got a guy who's awake early. Hello. You don't pronounce the H at all. Hello. That's the way we greet in the land of... Where are we? What's Friday land? Okay, it's just got to be Friday land. Guys, I hope you caught that song. So here's how this sort of episode came about. Typically, as you know, I'll search for a word, or one of you will give me a word because we're community in this. And so you'll give me a word and then I'll go, okay, I'll think about this all day, pray about this all day, kind of God will reveal some things. And yesterday we left this really cool experience, man. What was yesterday's episode called? Oh, good. Just light. Like just really enjoyed that. And right at the end of the live chat, which I think is still on connected to the video, but won't be by the end of this morning, the last comment, and I just caught it, and I totally believe this is how God will speak to me. Okay, that's really, really bold that I say that, but this is how I feel in the past. The tendency is God will speak to me. You'll be reading lots of stuff, you'll be talking with lots of people, but there'll be moments in your day where it's like, nope, I gotta pay attention to this, or it just sticks in your brain, and you're like, okay. Last comment from the live chat yesterday. Somebody made a comment, and I took a screenshot of it because I wanted to address it too. It was just about struggle, and that's where this episode came from. So the unfortunate reality is, as I took a screenshot, I can't find it on my desktop because it's a mess. But what I did, I went through my screenshots that I was just checking, and there was one that says, I feel like some of us are struggling with depression or anxiety or something else during this time of confusion. Here's the cool part, but this, referring to breathe, makes them forget about it all. And it's truly amazing. Okay, I love that comment. And here's what I got. So there were 4 different text, emails, instances that I got that were, and every one of them contained the word struggle. which I think is really interesting because I think so I wanted to go into this space of sort of talking about struggle, but also, it's Friday. So, hey, again, happy Friday. Let's live in the Friday moment and let's get to the weekend. Before I get into this too, guys, we're not going to do a weekend breathe this weekend. Again, I'm open to it. I'm just trying to think of all the different things, of all the variables and how we do this well. And I also don't want to burn us out on breathe. So there might be some changes coming next week. I'm going to think about them, pray about them, kind of walk through them too. But as one part of this community, I just want to be wise with where we go with this. Here's the other one too. If you are watching, and you haven't commented, and guys, this is what we don't see. So there's some people who consistently comment in the live, and it's super awesome because it just fuels this entire stuff. There are people who are watching who haven't commented, who probably won't comment too, and I just want to say welcome to this space. I'm glad you're here. You are in a different space than each of us, and I think I'm hoping for you, breathe is this space where you can catch a little bit of air too, because I think we need that, do we not? Who's looking? Okay, we haven't done this in a while. Who's looking into your day? And you look into your day and you're like, oh man, where's the life? Like, it almost feels like, okay, let me give you my full experience yesterday of cutting my lawn. So again, I don't know anything about motors, so like, just chill out on that. Okay. Like, I'm the guy who, when people are talking about cars and stuff, they're like, hey, I can't even do it. I have a diesel carbureted an engine. Okay, I'm the guy who will usually say, like, have you seen my car? It's dual windshield wipers, and because that's all I know. Okay, so I'm starting my, there's a robin in the tree with a thing on his. Okay, anyways, good descriptor. I'm the guy who, so behind my lawnmower yesterday, I'm like, knowing that I'm totally allergic to most things dust, and it's super windy yesterday, and I'm plowing along behind my lawnmower with my air cast, so it looks hilarious because it still looks like a pirate's cutting his lawn, and it's just nothing more than dust because there's not a lot of live grass out there, and so all I'm breathing in is like straight up dust. It's like, and in fact, it made a tornado around me. How many of us look into our day and it's just dry, by the way, and you see all the events of the day coming and it feels dry. It feels like you're behind the lawnmower and you're just pushing through and you're like, oh man, I just need some water. I just need some air. That's where this space comes in. It's a reminder to call us back to life. Now I'm getting a whole bunch of comments about cars. Dodge Magnum, possible car. That's hilarious. Okay, again, don't ever ask me to fix your car. I had a job as a summer job one year where I was the guy who fixed cars. Okay, but I worked at 7-Eleven, and we were the top selling 7-Eleven in North America. We had beaten out Anaheim that year. And the craziest thing is people would come in and expect me to put like oil in the, obviously the oil thingy. And the, what was the other one? Steering fluid? I think it's steering fluid. I don't know. I sound like a noob. I should stop talking. Hashtag windshield wipers. Love this community. Guys. Oh my goodness. This is so true. Guys, you know what? As part of the whole Breathe community, I am offering to fix vehicles to help people out. Except it won't be to help you out because, I should tell you this too. There was one lady who, she went through oil, and I remember this. she went through oil, like 6 oil cans per like day because her car was such a garbage. And so she came in and she was all flustered and she's like, I need you to fix my car. And again, it wasn't my job. It's just that people expected that to be my job. And I looked at her car and I couldn't find the oil thingy. And I was like, I don't have a clue. And so I guessed, don't ever do this, by the way. This is taking lessons from Sean and how not to fix a car. So I guessed like there's a whole bunch of different caps in an engine. So I picked one because none of them were labeled. It's like, I'm just going to, like, that one looks the dirtiest. So I'm going to put oil in that one because I know oil is dirty. I got it right. She never came back. So, I mean, I assume that that's because I fixed her car. It could be that it broke down and she couldn't walk back, but still. How do you car? At any rate, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but I love it. Steering fluid. Yeah. The live comments are just going to roast me today. It's going to be like, this is the car episode with Sean. Oh, man. Yeah. Here for this is our new car channel. We're going to check things out and do some stuff with your vehicle. Steering fluid. I'm sure it's that. And there's another one too. Transmission fluid. Man, I sound intensely awesome. Like I'm a car guy. Again, I know stuff about cars, okay? Like, no, I don't. Oh, the one that goes in your windshield. Windshield washer fluid. Wow, the struggle is real today, hey? Hey, here's what I want to give to you. Because you guys are hilarious and this has become a car show. Guys, here's my struggle. And this is where, for me, this is how I worship. This is how I approach the throne of God. I'm very much okay, I'm going to reveal something if I can. And this is where I'm not revealing about car show or anything like that. This is actually revealing something quite vulnerable about myself. And I love Stephanie Gretzinger, especially that song. I don't like saying her name because it always trips me up. But the Out of Hiding song, if you check it out on YouTube, actually I should put a link below this too. The Out of Hiding, she talks a lot about vulnerability, and she talks about come out of hiding, you're safe here with me. So one of the things that I've noticed about myself is, so I'm a licensed pastor, which is different sometimes. A title, whoa, hello, email loudness. The for me, and again, this is my, please don't hear this as cheesy or I don't know, religiosity. But I've realized in my own heart, there's something I can't shake, and that's that's my pastoral leanings. For me, I love people, and love you guys. Though this is something different. Again, I'm being pretty vulnerable in this one, but absolutely love you guys. That sounded really trite the way I said that. I'm sorry. I do very much love you guys. For me, the exploration of faith. Let me give you an example. When I go to church, there are some people who can raise their hands and start singing and praising God right away. And they're like, let's go. I'm not that guy. In fact, I there are two approaches that I most consistently have. The visuals for me are key. If you put waves on the screen behind the words, whatever, but they have to be done well. So visual is probably my secondary way, that if it's all of a sudden like this really weird background, like it'd be like this is a background, and then you have worship words playing over my face, that'd be weird for me. I'd be like, what the Jimmy, what's going on here? Okay, but a good visual. The primary pathway that I have, though, is I watch people, not creepily, but I see how they approach, especially you natural people who are just like, I'm just in worship and this is awesome. And again, it doesn't mean like hands raised. It means like somebody who's just really into it. I'll watch first. I'll see that giftedness and that ability to connect with God. And then I go, okay, so that's how they did this. That's okay. And then it'll draw me in. So in the same way, this whole community was birthed. And it's comments like this. I feel like some of us, like I mentioned before, are struggling with depression or anxiety or something else. Then the next comment was, and I think this is interesting, I pray for all of you to be touched by God. Okay, we got to define that. We got to look at that. And for peace in the world right now. And all those, this is the beauty part. And all those who are struggling, I pray for hope in our hearts. Okay. Here's why I pick the word struggle. I think all of us again, I think sometimes we make it a cartoon. I think we make it so extreme that it's like, here's this cosmic struggle. I get that. Okay, I understand that. But I think sometimes we try and rally ourselves up emotionally where it's like, there's a struggle today and I need to overcome it. And so let's go to war. And the problem with that is that if you're going to war every day, you're going to burn out soon. You look at any soldier who's actually been to war, and they're the guys who are exhausted when they come back. And yet we struggle, do we not, with seeing life, seeing hope, seeing our soul filled, actually living with our soul filled. Like, again, when I was reading through some of the screenshots I've taken, some of you are doing amazing chalk art and just engaging with your community. Is that not soul-filled kind of stuff? I absolutely think so. We see these different expressions of people living soul-filled. Actually, a lot of you guys, a couple of you actually mentioned like your poetry or how you are just really in this space of like not just self-discovery but God discovery, and it comes out in all sorts of creative ways. Is that not soul-filled? I think that's hugely soul-filled. And so we wrestle because we always, and I think this is the big thing. I don't know if you guys are out there. Sorry, I don't mean to rant, but has anyone ever felt out there like you're made for something more and you're so frustrated because that something more never seems to arrive? Am I off base in this? It's like you're waiting for the next thing and the next thing arrives and you're satisfied for 5 minutes and then it's like, but no, there's something more that I can't define within my soul. Maybe it's deeper connection. I think a lot of us struggle with that, the deeper connection. And we've got these cultural norms put on us, but which are not truth at all. But the deeper connection is something that is like yearning inside of us. Is anyone seeing some of the comments? Right? And okay, 2 comments just came through and it's, no, I feel you, and me, oh my goodness me. You guys, I don't think we give enough voice to this because I think it is always something like we put it in the wrong spot. If I'm going to get to the next grade, if I'm going to get to the next job, if I'm going to get to this next whatever it might be, then I'll be satisfied. If I get the next iPhone, like we put it in the wrong spot. And some would call that idolatry, and certainly it can be, but I think what it's more is misplaced yearning. If I have an episode where we have no technical issues, actually we have, but who cares? Like, who cares? So we have this yearning within us that will not go away. So let's just acknowledge it. You are made for something more. The verse that I have, actually I have a couple. Hey guys, I want to bring this out because we've talked about this one before, but I think there's two verses that keep coming up when somebody's struggling. The first one that I hear is actually this. It comes from 1 Corinthians 10:13, and it's kind of funny because we use this as like sort of a cliche response. Oh, you're struggling? God will never give you more than you can bear. Okay, thank you. Okay, there's a truth to that, absolutely, right? Like, let's test out this truth because that's what we're supposed to do. God will never give you more than you can bear. Okay, if you came to me or if I came to you and we had issues, or not between us, but it was you confess something that you've just been struggling with, and I turn to you right away and I'm like, God will never give you more than you can bear. Okay, bye. That's heartless, man. We talked about that yesterday. pretty heartless, thoughtless. But what does that actually mean, that God will never give you more than you can bear? Well, look at somebody who is in depth of struggle. I'd like to start showing you guys some video. Again, we're going to break copyright law because that's fun. But if you look at it, any person that I've seen, not every person, because that's too cliche, but people in deep struggle. So one of the communities that I deeply care about is a homeless community down in Skid Row in Los Angeles who is deeply struggling these days. And you'll notice that they have nothing. Nothing. And in fact, if I can talk about one friend, I won't mention his name because I don't have his permission. I'm actually waiting to hear from him. So if he's listening today, man, I'd love to hear from you. But this friend lived in the streets of Skid Row for 18 years. 18 years. Got himself a job, got himself a house. Sorry, not a house, an apartment. Lost his job because I won't say why, because it's dumb, not on his part, and was homeless and found a really nice park bench to live on. And when he called me last, or a while ago, several conversations ago, was so content with where he was at, not because he was on the park bench, because he was actually taken in by someone, a pastor in his community, was living in the bedroom, and was so content. When you have somebody who's in deep struggle, you see this contentment that you can't define. I love this. So here's, okay, one of our deep has just commented this. For me personally, I yearn for life, for more than I know I can achieve, but I hold myself back because I don't feel as if I deserve anything, because I'm just me. My goodness, who are you? Like, let's really look at that, because I think that's brilliant. So many others deserve the world so much more than me, and I feel stupid thinking that I'm struggling when compared to others. I'm far from it. Okay, let's talk about struggle then. Is there a certain amount of struggle that is worth more than others? Or is it actually impossible to put a temperature on struggle? Because your struggle is your struggle. And this is not you being dramatic or small. Perhaps there's a bigger voice there. Perhaps the voice is actually, are you worthy? Oh man, that's gonna mess with some people. Are we actually worthy? And I don't mean this like, guys, we are the best. Sorry, that's my first chest thump. That's what does it say? Who are we actually? Do you see yourself as a child of God? And what does that actually mean to be a child of God? Because a child of God is like sort of a weak definition right now. I think we have a really weak definition. What does it actually mean to be in a healthy household where you are not just celebrated, but you are called into your gifting? Oh, good night. We just got our comments, and guys, I want to try and keep up on this because I think this is huge. I think when we're looking at this, it's something where, who are you if you are a child of God? Okay, let's talk about children. To be a child, does that mean that your parents, so how you see your parents is very key. Does that mean that your parents, if you do something, you're going to get kicked out? That's the end of their love. Well, that's going to allow you a certain amount of like launching opportunity, right? And by launching, I mean like going into the rest of your life to be full in your life. Or do you have parents who are engaged, who are thoughtful? Yes, they're messy, broken, sinful, hurting people. But there are also people who just, you know, have your back. And they don't clear the way for you. They don't, like, by that I mean, they don't remove all the obstacles from your life so you can be successful at all costs and kill everyone else in the process. Because that's actually called snowplow parenting. But The parent who actually allows you to fail, allows you to succeed, loves you, speaks truth into your life. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. All these sorts of things. Okay, let me back this away. If you follow the words of Scripture, here's an uncomfortable truth for you. Didn't realize this is going to get so intense, man. You are worthy. That doesn't translate into you're going to be a millionaire, a billionaire, necessarily. But that translates to this. Jesus doesn't see you as hopeless or unworthy or, oh man, you made so many mistakes. No, you're gifted. You are, okay, here's a more uncomfortable truth. We'll get away from the scripture I was even going to go to. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. That's not, those two words, especially combined, don't mean you are sort of good made. You're the best of all the cast-offs. That's not truth, man. It says you are fearfully, which fearful, respectful, deeply respectfully. Think of the time when you had the most, not just respect, but reverence for something. I can think of a few times in my life when I was very, very, very extremely reverent. I was respectful of the environment. Let me give you a weird one. I'm in Israel. I'm right at the Syrian-Israeli border. I'm watching fighting going on. Some of you know this story, but I walk into the middle of a forest. I'm with a group, but you know me, I like to explore. So I walk off the path because I want to get a better vantage point of, there's actually Israeli planes dropping bombs around this mountain range that's in the northern part of Israel. So I want to get a better vantage point. So I walk about 200 meters off the path. And then I'm kind of goofing around too at the same time. Like not super goofing around. I'm actually like, okay, I can hear, when you hear a bomb go off, when you hear a tank shoot, it goes right through you. Then my professor yells to me, "Hey, dummy." I don't think he said dummy, but in my mind I heard dummy. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm just getting a better, because we're on a cliff and we're overlooking this thing. Because you need to come right back right now. I'm like, okay. Why? Because no, take the exact path. So some of you know this story. I didn't realize, and it was very rusty, small triangle signs, very, very like small and not in a lot of locations. I had walked into an active minefield. Woo. The respect that you give that, it's not a time for playtime. You're not like sitting in the middle of the minefield and you're like, oh, yay, let's see what's happening. Like I've seen these in the movies. You walk very respectfully. You walk very, very gingerly too, where you're like, where's my next foot? Go to my next foot. So there becomes this space. So let me get back to that. You are fearfully, not fearful like I'm going to step on a landmine, fearful like with great respect were you made by God. With great reverence, I know we treat God with great reverence. Guess who he treated with great reverence? Reverence. You. Trying to catch up to the comments here too. I am wonderfully made. You are wonderfully made. And you might, as soon as you hear these words, how many of you hear these words, you are wonderfully made, and you think of all the flaws immediately? I'm willing to bet that if I were to ask you the hardest question today, it would be, how are you wonderfully made? Oh man, I love this stuff. Okay, right now we have the comments are flying. And Tony, it's so good that you're here. Oh man, so good that you're here. It is good. Hi. Again, I want to go back to this comment. So many others deserve the world so much more than me, and I feel stupid for thinking that I'm struggling when compared to others. Far from it. Wow, like guys, this whole thing. You know what? I might even have to go through this. Here's the. Yeah, you cannot put a temperature on the struggle. And again, I'm catching up to the comments because I think this is absolutely brilliant. How can you get up to the surface of the water all those different times when you've been crushed under the waves? You were strong then and are now. Hold the phone. Guys, this is where... Okay, here's what we're doing for next week. We're going to talk about struggle because we are not leaving this alone. This is where... that last comment, the waves and the water and the consistent crushing, we got to talk about that. I've got something I want to share with you. It's going to be fairly vulnerable because it's from my journal. But if you guys are down for that, then I'm absolutely... Vulnerability is kind of strange to me because when I used to open up, I was bullied about it. Oh, man. And told my problems were nothing and I should just shut up and kind of bottle it up. Absolutely not. Had to finish that phrase. Okay, let me give you something. And then again, this conversation, if you're watching the recorded, you're gonna be like, I'm not following any of this. Then you're missing out. You need to be here at 8 a.m. because man, this sort of dialogue, guys, this is absolutely brilliant because wraps it up with, thanks guys, you're all just sweet, all of you. No, false. Actually speaking truth. Vulnerability requires the act of actually allowing that truth in. Try and compliment someone today. Go and see where that compliment goes. Do they deflect it? Do they make a joke? Do they bypass it? Usually one of those three things. Very few people that I know are actually like, stop. Thank you. Sorry, and I did that poorly because... But if you think about it, guys, okay, let me give you something that has been absolutely rocking me in my own life. Vulnerability is key to the human experience. And not just key, I mean foundational. You will be mocked and bullied about it because it is so uncomfortable. Not every time I've been vulnerable, but many times I've been vulnerable, it's been talked down. And in fact, if you're looking at vulnerability, and we're going to end it here fairly soon, because again, I was thinking this would be a 15-minute episode. It's now 40 minutes. I'm way behind in the chat. Yes, Sean, breathe fire. Yes, I will. Here's vulnerability for you. And guys, this could be huge, and we're still rooted in scripture in this. Let me go to the opposite of vulnerability, being cool. Being cool. And this is stolen from somebody who has revolutionized my thought process, Brene Brown. But being cool in the space that you're in right now, strike a pose that you think is cool. I'm not doing one. Strike a pose that you think is cool. What are the attributes of that being cool? Well, it's usually showing no emotion, like you don't care. It's like folded in, I'm assuming, most of you. I'm not talking like, you're not pointing at the sky and that's cool, okay? If you are doing that, then you have a different version of cool. But for most people, cool is like this absence of emotion, pulling back all the emotion. Like I'm a self-made person. I'm totally isolated. It's fine because I can do this all on my own. Here's the problem with that. When you're being cool and invulnerable, you are actually withdrawing from your emotions. You're withdrawing from everything around you. Here's the challenge that I have. Vulnerability, so this is from a study, is the birthplace of connection. If you want to connect, you have to be vulnerable. We're made for something more. Vulnerability is the birthplace, and she says this too, Brene Brown. Vulnerability is the birthplace of creativity. Vulnerability is the birthplace of every single memory that we have that we hold dear. Why? Well, you remember it. It creates this space for you to be vulnerable. It's the birthplace of the best conversations. And this is not me just saying this because it's words, but this is actually the data that is backing this up. So here's what we got. Guys, this is where, okay, like this has totally gone a different direction than I thought it would. Which, thank you, Lord, for this. Thanks for the, guys, I think, nobody likes the cool kids, including the cool kids. Everybody wants to be the cool kids. They're only cool because they're not cool. They're hiding and dying their emotions to try to surface. Absolutely. I can point to my high school experience and all the cool kids basically cut everyone until everyone was like, I don't want to be cut. You can be cool. And then they still live in their high school years all these years later. Which to me, if high school is the best time of your life, sorry, side rant. I'll maybe stop there. But we know these, anyways, I'm not even going to go there. Let me give you this. Psalm 123. I lift up my eyes to you whose throne is in heaven. Let me go to Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. We've talked about this one before. Where does my help come from? There's this act, there's this search, there's this struggle. Where does my help come from? That's a great question. If you are in struggle today, I would actually invite you to be totally honest with God in your conversations with God and be like, I'm struggling. This is what I'm looking for, or this is what I'm struggling with. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. The way I read that was so brutal. Because guys, I think in the struggle, here's where it almost feels directional. Psalm 121. I lift my eyes to the hills. And again, this is where, if you remember from several episodes ago, lifting your eyes to the hills in around Jerusalem are where the Asherah poles and where the different gods were worshipped. So it's this directional, like I must go to the hills because that's where I'm going to get the answer. I lift my eyes to the hills, but yet the guy says, where does my help come from? So just imagine, this is how, again, you guys know I think in images. So it's like, I lift my eyes to the hills, so I'm going out there, but then I'm bringing it right back. So I'm like, where does my help come from? It's empty. These people are just lashing themselves and trying to wake up their gods. I like how rooted these words are. My help comes from the Lord. And not just the Lord like it's just some cutesy idea. The maker of heaven and earth. The one with the authority. The one not just with the authority, but if you read through the Psalms, the one who has been through every emotion. The one who has created human emotion. Question was just asked. Sean, are you an introvert or an extrovert? Because being an extrovert, I'm struggling. Dude, I know it. I'm a balance. I used to be an extreme extrovert. I'm now probably a 50-50. So I need both and. My introvert, both of them fuel each other. But I'm also the guy who will walk into the middle of a store and say hi to everyone. But at the same time, if I'm in a different sort of space, I'll also be the guy who just needs to withdraw and kind of create. So yeah, I'm definitely that. Hey, guys, it's been a long episode. I'm sorry. I hope this is not super dry. I hope it's not like, oh man, just Sean, can you, on a scale of 1 to shh. I hope it's not that for you. I think the value of this episode has just been seeing the community. I like this community. I love this community. Do not apologize. Please go on. I love you guys. Hey, I'm going to pray for you. I'm being authoritative. Let's not do that. may I pray for you? And then we're going to go into our day. I'm seeing a robin. I can finally diagnose what kind of bird that is because it's red. Is that right? Let me know in the comments. Is it red robin? Yeah, red robins. It's a restaurant, so it's got to be a red robin. That's how I know my birds. I love long episodes. Yes, Chloe. Okay, hang on. Oh man, I'm gonna screenshot. I'm gonna go through this entire thing. I hide from my problems by making jokes. Me too. Oh man, that's my main deflection. It's also a way that I create cultural change. Being loud and stupid. When friends need me, I listen and give advice, but I feel like a hypocrite. And no one sees my struggle because I make it that way. Yeah, it's easier to be a burden bearer sometimes than it is to allow others to burden bear for us. Especially if your giftedness is burden bearer. And then when you find yourself in a situation where you actually need people to bear weight for you, A, you feel bad so you don't, and B, they don't because you've never asked them to. Like that's the, I've had to learn that one too. Gray and red belly. Okay, it's confirmed. Red Robin, still out there. Wow, he's just chilling. Guys, I'd love to be able to pray for you. And I'd love to pray. I know we've got some people in from Ontario, from BC, from Cali today, from Alberta, from all over the place. And I'd love to pray for you because man, oh man, I'm so surprised by this these long episodes. Let me pray. And just reaffirm, I love you guys. Even bigger, we've got a God who is very loving, very, very loving, and who is whispering to you today words of life. So let me pray in that regard. God, we thank you for semblance of community. And we thank you for the space where we can breathe. And God, we thank you that your Spirit gives us the opportunity to breathe. And when we breathe ourselves, not breathe ourselves, but when you breathe into us, you breathe words of life and hope. And yet, God, we have so many walls. We have so many walls surrounding vulnerability. We have so many walls surrounding, are we actually worthy? So God, I would invite each of us, and would you in your Spirit speak truth here? I ask that God, you would really bother us with the question of value. Do we have value? And Father, as we ask that question, as we look over that cliff into the abyss of all the lies that we believe about ourselves, that God, you would begin to speak in words of life. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And even in the depths, you see us. So God, in our pit of what we believe about ourselves, would you meet us there this weekend, today? Would you disturb us, Lord, for the things that matter, for your words that matter? We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And we thank you. God, we thank you for who you are. We thank you for your goodness. We thank you that you're really, really constant. Even as our lives are constant, you're far more constant. So God, we thank you. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for your goodness to us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Hey. Wow. Guys, thanks for your words, man. Oh, man. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, come on. Are we going to get through another episode? There's no way. Like, dear Lord, please help. And then I hear words like, wow, that's so incredible. Thank God for you and for the show. Make an episode that is an hour long, because the longer I'm in Breathe, the longer I want to stay. My goodness. Well, here's what we're going to do. Let's make it real uncomfortable. Guys, you don't need more words from me. What you need to hear, maybe it'll work, I think it will. I want you, this is how we're going to end the episode. I'm going to play the Stephanie Gretzinger song out of Hiding again. And if you would adopt a posture of prayer, a imposter of actually speaking in truth. And I know full well some of you are just like, no way, man. I'm not being that vulnerable. Well, it's just you. So chill out. It's perhaps changing the internal dialogue is, well, not perhaps. Changing the internal dialogue that we have in our own minds over and over and over again is so key to experiencing what it means to live in the fullness of Christ. Because we're really good at telling ourselves lies. We're really gifted at it. So we're going to end with a song. I'm just going to throw on, you know what? I'll throw on this song, but again, this is a hugely important song. If you want to catch the words on it, it's Out of Hiding, official lyric video, Stephanie Gretzinger and Amanda Cook, The Undoing. Okay, that's lots, but just search the first part of that. I'm going to go back to our beach scene in Minecraft. Actually, I'm going to go, you know where we're going to go? We're going to go to the garden. Because, oh, and I'm at the wrong one. We're going to go to our island, which we haven't done this before, ending the episode with this, but I'd really like you guys to have this space. So I'll even go back to the, oops, you can hear me typing, I'm sure. There we go. I want you guys just to listen to this and we'll end the episode. Hey guys, also have a great day. Have a brilliant space today of just being able to maybe wrestle this through. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Come out of hiding, you're safe here with me. There's no need to cover what I already see. You've got your reasons, but I hold your peace. You've been on lockdown and I hold the key. 'Cause I loved you before you knew what was love, and I saw it all. Still I chose the cross, and you were the one that I was thinking of when I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, my victory's yours. I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand at a distance anymore. You're not far from home, and I'll be your lighthouse when you're lost at sea. And I will illuminate everything. No need to be frightened by intimacy. No, just throw off your fear and come running to me. Oh, 'cause I loved you before you knew it was love, and I saw it all. Still I chose the cross, and you were the one that I was thinking of when I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, my victory's yours. I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand at a distance anymore. You're not far from home. You're not far from home now. Keep on coming. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will